today to have the opportunity to make something that I was waiting for it during 10 years, more or less, because today we are celebrating the 10 years of the EU Directive, the number 24 from 2014, that is known as the EU Directive for procurement. And for us, at least in Spain, was something very, very important because gave us the possibility to understand an European, let's say, platform or community of people that were agreeing to make something new about what was called electronical digital building systems, as BIM, as it's said in the directive. So to celebrate this 10th anniversary of this EU directive, we have invited two people that from our perspective are a reference. The first one is Anna-Riitta Kallinen. Thank you for being with us. And the other one is Jaan Saar. Thank you for being here. And Anna-Riitta Kallinen is coming from Finland, and Jaan Saar is coming from Estonia. And this is something that for us is like making a little explosion in our head, in our brain, because for us, Finland has been and is a BIM reference. So I remember having in Barcelona Arto Kiviniemi, for example, or Tom Hetinen, and people that were working very, very hard to implement in late 90s. I remember what Arto was explaining us. And making Finland as one constant reference for us, and something that I believe that BIM is not anything new in your country. Meanwhile, Jaan Saar is coming from Estonia, and for a country as Spain, we are always looking to Estonia because you have this e-digital residence permit, that you can make your own digital company in your country, let's say jumping from one border from one country to another without any problem, because we are talking about a digital and electronic earth, let's say. So for us, both of you are people that we are following very, very, let's say, with a big lens to know how you are working. So we invited Anna-Riitta to make a panoramic about Finland and the last issues and the last topics that they are researching. The idea is to have more or less a 1 hour presentation plus debate. And then I think, Anna-Riitta, if you want to introduce yourself and answering who is Anna-Riitta Kallinen for the people that doesn't know you and that can give a first image about what you are doing.
Okay, thank you from my side for invitation to this event. And I have been an Open BIM influencer for 20 years and been involving in many national level development projects for BIM and others. I have also, as I'm an engineer, I have been in building projects doing BIM and other this kind of machine readable data issues. For example, hospitals, I have been many hospitals project involving. And now latest for, let's say, 5 years, I have been focusing on the building permit issues and BIM. And I have been also many of these ministry project coordinator, project coordinator or project manager, and seen this revolution that we have done. And also I'm involving many EU projects that are in these topics, and of course the collaboration network that we have in global, and of course the nearest and dearest is Estonian team that Jaan was part and still are the part of this. We collaborate a lot of these topics. So this is a short introduction of my background. I have my own company that's one issue that I'm working with my own company. So as I mentioned, I have been working with last 5 years for this BIM-based building permit topics, and this is the latest project that we have made complete, this RAVA 3 project, and we work it on with this automated checking process that we can implement this kind of machine readable data for the building permit process and get more out of this open BIM processes that we have been developing in Finland in many years, but now in the building permit issues. And I was project manager for this project. And we had 23 municipalities with this project, and we had a funding of the Ministry of Finance of Finland, and Ministry of Environment of Finland was very intensive involving this because they are responsible for our new Building Act. And these work results for this project are this kind of tools and the practical things that we need for taking this Building Act into the real life and practical use. So this is very important work that we did. And of course, the other partners that we have a research organization, Finnish National Research Organization, VTT. We had Senaatti Properties, which is our government-owned properties, and we have an association of municipalities with this. And I have to mention that these 23 municipalities, key persons are those who are doing this building permit process in everyday life. So they know these process needs and they know what they need in their work from BIM and how this automatically checking process can change the process better. So as you know that when we do this kind of machine readable data, we need to have some requirements for the data, and we need to have this kind of SaaS-based software solutions that are operating these. We have a platforms that has the process on this building permit process on, and then we need some softwares that could get this information from ISC files with the SaaS-based REST API information path. And at the moment that we start this project, we didn't have this kind of software in our markets. So we kindly ask in Estonian team, and we get the promise that we can perhaps get Future Insight involving this. Back into those days, Future Insight was not in Finland, but now we have a very good proof of concept for this automatic checking process, and we know that this is working, and we also have this general checking rules, and we have requirements, and we have use cases that what we are checking and what part of the law they are representing these use cases. And also we have this kind of IRC content descriptions like property sets and others that we need. This is the goals that we had and what we achieved, because as I mentioned it, we need the requirements and this kind of unified data that we can use from ISC files. And of course, because we are builder smart country, we believe this kind of open BIM tools that builder smart has, and we made some of these materials, for example, MAP part. We use the builder smart data dictionary service also that we find it that we need because we didn't have the enough deep hierarchy of the information in the ISC standard. So we solve this problem with the builder smart data dictionary service and others, for example, use case descriptions models that we needed. So we use that from the builder smart international models. But anyhow, we have done this, and we have now requirements, we have rule sets, we have successful pilots, and we have a process development tested, and we can start implementing this. And now it's important phase that now we have results, now we know what we need to do, but we have to still do this, and we have to have this kind of solutions in our markets. For example, this checking rules itself, it does not make this checking, but we need the concrete software solutions in the market that could join our platform softwares that we are having, for example, Cloud Permit and Trimpler solutions. So that's the next step, and then we try to give the education and learning process also the other municipalities and the whole industry that we are in this process development needs. And now if I can go this next slide here. So we did in practical pilots, we make these kind of pilot models that has the information that we required. We did also not only the architectural model, which is the main model that we are using for the building permit process, but we also did MAP and structural models, and also this kind of electrical models that was included in this our project. And we made a lot of this kind of reports, and we tested different kind of issues, also the urban model, how we can get easily the IFC models to the urban models or city models, and how we could use that information also. And here is some softwares that we piloted, and I think that I could show you some videos. So I will show you some video which we made for the pilot for the automatic check-in process. This is good video that in that perspective that you can see actually the checking process, how it's going to be and how it will help the building permit officers that need to check this and use the models. So I hope that this will work and the voice is also coming. Okay. This is the process that if you are doing in the paperworks or PDFs or something else, you have a much more things to do in the manual work, and you need this building permit officer's eyes and intelligence for this. And you're taking his or her time to check these basic issues that we could check in this IFC models with this intelligent software that could do this automatically checking process. So in this way, we will make the better quality, and also the designers can check this before they send this IFC files to the building permit process. And then we will get the results out. The machine is reading and checking these, and we can use the time of the building permit officers for something that we need more intelligent and something that we need for those human results that we are having. And we don't have enough building permit officers in Finland. We need more of these tools that we can have more of results and more of these effective work in this process, and getting this kind of short building permit application to end phase processes. So this, if you can see the video, here's some kind of accessibility checking that we made, and the machine is checking these measurements, for example, toilets or shower rooms or somewhere else that we have these requirements. That is this space enough for the wheelchair, for example? And there's we chose 5 use cases for this. And you can see that if the door is not wide enough, you cannot go there as a wheelchair patient or other issues of the accessibilities. And then the software is doing all the work. You just send the IFC files to the platform. This case, it was a cloud permit platform, and then this Future Insight is doing this work without any human hand in touching for this. So it's quite interesting how we can serve this kind of automatically process for this building permit issues that we need to check, and give this better quality for the whole process of the building construction and others, because we can check all the cases in here. So here you can see the behind the cloud permit platform, and then these checking issues that are red are not good, green is okay, and you can see that there's an issues in the door or some other part of this building. And this was typical this kind of family house, this apartment that we made for the pilot project, and it is a typical building type in Finland that we are going to use this. So that's why we've chosen this kind of a typical apartment house, multi-apartment house for this. And these results is so good that we had in this pilot that we believe that the other use cases that we are having, that we recognize that these are the lists that we could run for this automatically checking process, and we have these requirements and rule sets already for this. We can also do it in this way, but we have to have this work package of the softwares working that we are now try to solve, that how we could get these softwares working together and how we could get these on the market, because we don't have any softwares on the market at the moment for the municipalities contracts. So we are hoping that we will get markets ready for this and work ongoing for this checking process. This is something that we use. We are used to use this 4D scheduling in the building construction side, timing and workflow. But this pilot, we took this kind of environment issues with this, and this we can prove this the area safetiness and the construction side safety arrangements in weekly based or even the daily based. Because this is, for example, this case in Järvenpää, it's multiple buildings that it's going to build, and there's very important buildings around it, and we could show even the traffic and the infra arrangement that we need, and we can communicate with this into the different kind of stakeholders and participants that don't have this kind of building educations and understanding, for example, 2D pictures or designings. So this is the way that we can show and we can add these IFC models to the city model or urban model environment and use it in there and play these 4D scheduling videos in there. And I want to mention this also, that's why, because the next steps that I think that we need to take is that how we will start the checking process, not only the building itself, but building comparing to the zoning or the environment that building is coming. And I know that Estonians are doing this at the moment, and they are ahead of us for that, but we want to learn and we want to also go in that way because it's possible, it's technical possible, but we have to try to goal this and develop more of these. And in the same hand that I'm saying that we need to develop this more, we have to implement this Ravatri process results and try to take these first steps to this automatic check-in process that we are doing. We have now launched Solibri rule sets that we can use in desktop version and manually, that everyone can use that have a Solibri license, so then this industry can get informed and try these rule settings that we are going to use, these national level rule sets. But that's not that the case that we will be happy in the long term. We need to start also implementing this automatically check-in process, and that's the hot issues now in Finland. And of course, this new Building Act, which is giving us requirements that how long is the time that you have to have the building permit process done, how you have to use this machine readable data, how we want to have this kind of national data registry, this Ryhti data bank that we were going to have, this national level. We have a lot of issues in that, but I think that this will improve our industry in this big picture in other parts also, not only the building permit phase, because we are not modeling only for the building permit issues. We use the same model for the other phases. We use that for the construction side. We use that for the facility management. We use that same model in the different places. So if the data is unified and we can use this for machine readable cases, it will give more information even the next phases that which are after the building permit process. So I think that this is a huge issue in Finland, that we will finally get this kind of real automatically and machine readable data in national level, because this is the first time that we have this specific requirements in the national level. But there's a lot of information that we have in this project, and we are planning for next steps and next project in Finland. And we are terribly busy because we try to do all the things that are the implementing and the next phases. But we still see that we make the right choices, and this was the right one, that we choose this IFC form and this automatically check-in process goals. And we are very thankful and this friendship and this help that we get from Estonian team for this and other project that we are having. So this is the short story of this Finnish issues that we are having.
Well, this is something amazing for us, because I will share my screen one moment in order to show you one of the last news that we have, for example, in Valencia. Okay, so you can see here the town hall of Valencia gives the number of 22,545 licenses that are to be approved in the city. So imagine what is happening in a city like Valencia, south of Barcelona, and they are, you have here all the data, something amazing, but you can see that the average of giving one permit is around 1,200 days. So imagine that if it's only, well, each permit means that you have around around 1,000 euros per each one of the permits. This means that we have around 22 millions that are waiting for this permit, no? So and it will be more than this. So we have probably hundreds or thousands of millions of euros that are stopped in the activity of the city because we are unable to make a reasonable process for that, no?
And I don't know if this is the right place to mention, but the new Building Act that we are going to have in Finland, there's requirements that 3 months you will have the building permit. So you understand that this is so short time, if it's going to be like this, that you don't get this process delivered in 3 months if you don't use the IFC models for this kind of basic buildings at least. But the law is saying that we have to use that in the most of these building projects, that we have to use the machine readable data, which is in Finland, it means IFC files. And the big innovation and the issue was also that our national archiving organization approved IFC standard as a archiving form, one of the archiving form. So we can now archive also the IFC files, and that's the huge impact for the Building Act, that now we also can archiving these. And I think that this news that you show us is not the only one in European level. I have visited in many countries in European and discussing them with them, this building permit processes and timing that they are using, and the problems and solutions that they are having. And in many countries in European, it's the same issues, that the building permit process is too long. There is corruptions, there is too much manual work, and there's none of these digitalization tools that they can use. This is the situation in many countries. So I think that we will benefit in EU level also if we would use more IFC files and getting better processes in EU countries. And for our results that we have made in Finland, these are open and available to everyone if you need those. And we can present these more deeply if someone is interested in these. And I myself, I believe that we could have, for example, this accessibility use cases. I think that most of them we could implement in different EU countries also. There might be some adjustments for the measuring, but we know that the wheelchairs are in the European level. We know this, where these measurements are coming. So we could perhaps have these kind of general level use cases for accessibilities, and then we could benefit these already made rule sets and others for this. And this way we can making more open BIM processes to EU countries that are unified.
For sure. Jan, from your side, for example, when there was the approval of the EU directive in 2014, it was something like a spark in your ministry to begin things, or you were like Finnish people that they had already 10, 15 or 20 years of history before this EU directive is approved? It was something new for your country, or you were already working on that?
No, we were already working on that for some time. We have in Estonia, I think one of the driving forces for the adoption of BIM was state real estate, which is a government-owned real estate development and maintenance company. Building schools, office buildings all across Estonia. It's one of the biggest kind of public clients or developers. And they decided to really already, I think more than 10 years ago, started very actively developing their BIM standards and requiring BIM in their procurement for constructing and designing, constructing new buildings. And that became kind of a standard that is now used all over Estonia, and every large project is using BIM. The procurement directive didn't directly, I would say, influence that, but it's good that on a European level, BIM at least got mentioned. But I should note that already a few years ago, from the EU BIM task group, we made a position paper that we sent to the European Commission, saying that we should really take a step further. Having BIM marked in the directive is nice, but it's very general. It's very vague. It just says that you can use BIM. That's all it does. But the EU BIM task group, which brings together public clients and policymakers across Europe, see that it is much more important to emphasize the need and requirement for open BIM. Which Anna-Riitta already mentioned, through IFC's open standards, we can make sure that the data is more accessible, it is more widely available. Whenever we use BIM, it should be open and accessible. And that's why we made a recommendation to the European Commission that whenever the Public Procurement Directive is reviewed again, we should add the specific requirement for open BIM in any projects that are funded by public money, actually. So for private companies, it's completely up to what they want to do, and nobody should, in that sense, really go and force any private or commercial company to use this or that standard. It's really up to them. Although it makes also perfect sense to still use open standards. But from a public point of view and public procurement, in Estonia, we've done everything with open BIM, and we developed the BIM-based building permit process, automated checks, all based on open BIM again. We have the national digital twin, which is based on open standards, also utilizing IFC for BIM models, but city GML for kind of the city level models. And the state real estate and the Estonian BIM standard is mostly based, well, not most, it's fully based on open standards and defining IFC requirements. So, and this is also the case in Finland. And I would say most of Nordics, all public clients and procurers are looking for open standards in their processes. So, but for sure, I mean, having BIM in public procurement is already a big thing. And but I would say the time is now right to not just talk about BIM, but really, if we're be more precise, and when we talk about public procurement, then it should be open BIM that we're using.
Yeah. And about, for example, the problem with property sets or the fact of making something like machine readable data, I would like to share you one image that is this one. You know, at the end, we are 27 countries in Europe, and we need 23 translations of the same document, no? And this is something that is happening also in Spain, in the sense that we have a problem not about the languages, that probably it could be also something interesting to revise, but the problem of having so many different norms and regulations per city, you know, that it makes impossible to create a way of, let's say, uh, a deep learning or machine learning process, you know, because in fact, we are in Barcelona, and if we would make, we would have to make one building in Hospitalet de Llobregat that is nearby, going to the airport. You cannot distinguish if this is Barcelona or this is Hospitalet de Llobregat. They have a complete different norms for balconies, windows, etc., etc., etc. No? So how are you solving this? Because in fact, what we see in Spain is that we have around near 10,000 villages and cities. And do we have to introduce 10,000 norms, regulations from these different cities inside the system? Or we would have to bet for something more standardized, something more normalized? How is your approach in Finland and in Estonia? Do you have this problem of having several norms in your cities?
I think that we have a different situation in Finland, because we have this kind of law and building act and the secondary acts that are saying something, and these are the ground of the norms. But we have some kind of this kind of I will have the English word in soon, but this kind of adjustments by municipalities that they can have in some part, not all, and some smaller part, they can have some adjustments that we all, of course, in the industry, we would like to have that. We will have a one norm and one this kind of machine readable norms. Also, I think that the problem is this norms that they are not machine readable. They are in general level saying that something needs to be wide enough. What is wide enough in numbers? What is something else that is in this kind of general level in the norm? So this is something that I'm hoping that in EU level we will also have this kind of machine readable norms that are not in this kind of general level. But I think that the solutions could be this kind of at least the minimum part of the general requirements that you have to follow. These could be the starting point, and then some kind of solutions for the municipalities or different areas. But I see the problem, but I think that there's still be some kind of general level package that we could do in machine readable way. But how is your opinion, Jaan? How you would solve this? You are a wise man, so
Yeah, well, the older I get, the more I realize how stupid I am. So maybe not so much, but I do have some experience with that. I agree. Standards are always, well, how to put it, fun to develop. It's not the sexiest topic in the world, but you cannot live without standards. And for some reason, they always manage to ignite very passionate discussions among professionals. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of standards, of course. In Estonia, we have for our BIM standard, as I mentioned before, the state real estate was the one really setting the first standard, and we're now have made this more national, or this has been adopted by most public clients and actually commercial clients as well. But it's also most of the standards are still kind of on Excel sheets and on PDFs, which is not that helpful. But luckily, there is, of course, now a lot of good work done by Building Smart. And Building Smart Information Delivery Specification Standard, IDS, is a way to describe these BIM requirements in a machine-readable format. And I think this kind of developments are very needed for the industry to more quickly and better adopt and make standards more understandable. I mean, you tested the IDS checks also in Rava Free Pro, right?
Yes.
And this is what we're doing with Future Insight as well, with Clearly BIM, the product that we or the service that we offer for automating the building permitting checks based on BIM models. There, the idea is also that you first have to understand whether or not the model has the right properties in it. Has it been, the data has been prepared correctly before you start doing actually the compliance and regulatory checks. And that's what IDS, for example, is perfect for. Instead of having this Excel table with lots and lots of sheets, you know, hundreds of lines of properties and parameters that, you know, the designer has to go through and, you know, make sure to enter this value for this element and this for that element, and maybe forgot something or made a more small typo or mistake. To help with that process, you have now a way to describe it in a machine-readable format in IDS. And there's already the software vendors of the design software, and there's also additional BIM, you know, software, coordination software that is able to read this IDS. And also, you know, our solution is able to read and check whether or not it's compliant with this IDS requirements. So I think more and more, as we translate these standards into machine-readable formats like IDS, which is not the only one, and this also links to the Building Smart Data Dictionary, where you have a lot of these standards already living in a database format, and which you can also check and verify. The more we get into that, the less of a pain it becomes, I guess. And the more people understand that, you know, what we're doing in Estonia, in Finland, is not much different than what you guys are doing in Spain, for example. Like, of course, some of the requirements for buildings are different, and there's, you know, local regulations and differences. But all in all, when it comes to, you know, we all want our buildings to be safe. We want them to be comfortable to live in. And in that sense, I think, you know, humans are more or less the same around the world. It's environmental conditions might be slightly different, but all in all, I think what we also saw when comparing the legal requirements for Estonia and Finland, we already saw quite a lot of overlap in you know, the legal requirements of the building code. So and the more and more we see, you know, countries, municipalities automating some of these building requirements checks or building permit checks, then the more and more we will see that more or less it's the same. And that will help us to harmonize and find a common approach to a lot of these different standards in this rather complicated world, and to simplify it.
Well, in fact, for example, in Spain, talking about property sets, no, which is the name that we are giving to one space, you have to think that for the entry in one house, we can use the word vestíbulo, hall, entrada, recibidor, so it's impossible to begin to know what you are making, no? Habitación, dormitorio, suite for the same space, no? So living, dining, comedor, etc., no? Office inside, we are using a kitchen with an office. That means that we have an extra space inside the kitchen, etc. No, so when we want to work hard on that, is really difficult. In this sense, I would like to make another approach about what is intended or what the directive was trying to do in the moment that it was created, no, about the procurement, in the sense that in your countries, I do believe that you are working more in what we call in Spain proyecto y obra. That means that you can make the procurement of the project and the execution of the works together, no? But here in Spain, this is something that is not forbidden, but you have to justify why you want to join the architect or the engineer with the builder, no? There is no confidence in putting them in the same in the same space, no, in the same page. But when you listen Martin Fisher from Stanford University, no, from CIFE department, and talking about integrated project delivering, no, that of course every stakeholder has to work together with the next one and the prior one, no? So to make these different contracts between one and the other is always making problems in the process, no? This in Finland and in Estonia is something similar. Are your approach is to help to make this design build process, or to divide design process with one contract and building process with another contract?
First of these space names, if I understand correctly, these space names are various in Spain and in Finland also. But we solve this with this code system, that we make this kind of standardization of the building space types for the building type first. And the code is telling you that is this a hospital, school, or some other apartment or something else, industry. And then the code is telling you that is this what room is this, and then we can put these checking process softwares to focus on this code. That, for example, in the toilet you will have this kind of checking rule sets, but not in the bedroom, for example. And then you can use whatever name you will like to use for the friendly name place. But you have to use the certain code for the machine readable reasons.
And this code is a number.
Yeah, this is a number. Yeah, and it's it could be also for the letters, but we can show you what we have done, and perhaps it will be helping this idea that we have a code and then we have a friendly name in different places, and the machine doesn't need the friendly name; it needs the code. That what is in the software. But the
talking now about classification, Anna-Riitta, or
yeah, that we needed to make, because in Finland we didn't have this kind of a code system for the space names or space type.
They are not defined in Talo classification system.
No, it was not enough for our reasons. But it's we took care that it's they are in the same ideas, but we have a deeply system that we made. Yeah. But this project types that you were mentioning, Ignacy, that how we would like to have it, the industry will choose the suitable project types. We have in Finland this Alliance group. This is the integrated project delivery models that we are, all the designers and construction companies are in the same contract, and they will share their profits, and they will share their losses, so they will work better and give more benefits to the client also. This is very famous in Finland, and we have made this big hospital project, for example, for this IPD models. And then we have other contract type, of course, but this is not the issue in Finland because everyone is using OpenBIM and IFC in any way. So it's more like how we do with the IFC files. What is the content that we are requiring? Can the content be used by machine readable ways? That's the question that we are now dealing, because everyone is anyway doing this. And as Jaan told that the Estonian government, this property owner, this Riikki Kinnisvara, if I understand it, was the leader of this in the same way back in the old days. 2007 perhaps was the Senaatti Properties, which is the same organization in Finland. The government who owns the properties made this first movement that they was requiring IFC and OpenBIM standards in their project. So it was the same path that Jaan told, but we were a little bit earlier in that. But Jaan, how is in Estonia this project contracts? I don't know the situation in your country so specific. So
yeah, usually the most procurement is done typically, yeah, you do the design and then you afterwards you do the build, and sometimes you have design build contracts. But we are trying to copy what you guys done in Finland with the alliance or the IPD procurement method, where you have, you know, really a collaborative way to have the designer, the contractor, the maintenance guys, the client, the users, all in one kind of team together, very focused on you know, delivery of the project and successful delivery of the project. So it's, the good slogan is either you win together or you lose together, but the idea is that you do it together. So it's not every, you know, stakeholder fighting for their contract and fighting for their rights and a little bit, you know, better edge over the other stakeholders. The idea is to have really you know, a common goal to execute the project in the best possible way. And if somebody manages to kind of find some way to optimize or a better solution, they are incentivized to provide this input and to share their knowledge, because that will mean a win for them and a win for others.
Yeah, and I have to mention that also this OpenBIM tools are helping this collaboration, because you have to share information to get the profits out. And IFC is easy way to share information also. So if you are using other methods that are 2D something, you cannot share this information in the same way that you can share your files with IFC files. So this is also helping people if the OpenBIM processes are going to be the chosen one, because they can communicate better with IFC.
And well, we are arriving to the end of the session. I would like to ask one more thing. Who do you think has to make the checking of these processes? So the architect and engineer would have to use this process, or it has to be the client, or it has to be the municipality or the government? What do you think? What can be more efficient in these processes? No, because here we are defending a way that by itself we have quite powerful corporations of architects and engineers. We are inside what we call Colegio de Ingenieros, Colegio de Arquitectos. So like the American Institute of Architects, something like this, no? AIA or RIBA or Ordre des Architectes in France, no? And in fact, we are paying a service to make a first revision of the documentation, no? that we are delivering. It could be also that this process could be done by a professional entity like that, no? Which is the approach of that in Finland and in Estonia? Who will do the checking?
Well, I think that if it's national way of doing, the clients should know that they should require something and order some kind of data models and IFC models. They should know that this is the requirements that I need to require. And the designers need to follow that and check their own designing, their own IFC models before they send them to the building permit officers, controllers. And then there's an official responsible for building controllers that they need to do this building permit process work that they are doing, that we cannot take from them, and we don't want to take them out of this. And then, of course, there's a construction companies that are doing these buildings in the practical way. They need to follow also for these safety issues and build like they was designed. And there's a building permit process is ongoing, so it's not ending for that you get the permit. You will have to prove that your building is built like the designing, it is safe and ready to use, and you will have the inspection also that when your building is ready, and that you have enough information transferred to the facility management or the national archiving. So I think that this is all of us needs to be aware and do our parts of this. And if we have some kind of softwares that can help us, that could be one step that we could take, the first one, that we will have the helping hands in the softwares.
And in your case, Jaan?
Yeah, when we're talking about, you know, these checks that we do for the building permits using BIM, we in Estonia, we have a national system already used by all municipalities, which is a mandatory system that all building permits have to go through. And there it's logical that, you know, the checks are at least validated and built by the government. So it gives a certain level of credibility and, you know, officialness. But that doesn't mean that it's only municipality or government officials who can do these checks. The whole system has been built as a self-service platform, so you can go and you can upload your model, you can check whether or not it complies with regulations with the building code before any of the municipality officials get involved. So this is a way to kind of, first of all, make sure yourself whether or not your model meets the requirements. You can then also get a file, BCF file, again, Building Smart standard that allows a BIM collaboration format description that gives you the results of the checks, and then you can take them back to your authoring tools and design software, which will help you pinpoint exactly what are the errors and what doesn't meet which kind of requirement. And you can do this in several iterations, how many times you want. And only when you are happy with it, then you can push the button so it goes to the municipality officials so they can review and do the checks themselves. But in that case, yeah, it can be either the contractor, it can be the developer or the architect. Usually it is the architect designer who does the building permit in Estonia, I think, but it can vary from project to project. But it is a very flexible and open tool for anybody to use. And yeah, and what we're working on also in some Horizon European funded projects like Accords is to develop kind of a common approach on how we describe these checks, how we describe the algorithm to do any kind of checks. And the more we standardize there as well, the more we open up the industry and the market to adopt, you know, different tools and innovate on the process itself, because it doesn't always have to be a government-based system. It can be, you know, integrated into authoring tools. It can be a separate service that you can procure and use. But in the end, I still think that on some level, it has to be kind of government approved or certified or developed so that it does have the credibility that is needed with you know, all these approvals and permits and stuff. So it's also a possibility to have it totally, done by third parties, but then you need to accredit them, you need to certify them somehow.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it's like in Estonia's example, it's really easy to build these e-solutions by the government or by municipalities, or buy them as a service, which is even better, and provide it for the industry to use.
And well, in order to finish the session, I was looking for some good books about decisions, no, and I found this one that it's called the Decision Book, no, and this book was about 50 models for strategic thinking. And the last question would be, do you think it was a good decision to make this new European directive about procurement? Yeah, do we need to remake or like you said, Jan, that we need to, with this position paper that I didn't know about that, we need to make an adjustment of this directive as soon as possible?
Well, I think it's having a common directive, some principles put down on paper is a good thing, especially considering how various cultures and approaches we have in Europe, how different our countries in some ways are. So that helps to do business across borders. The more you have kind of the processes and regulations harmonized, that's what the standard organizations that are doing CEN and ISO, all they're doing is actually harmonizing or trying to come up with common agreements. But yes, I do believe that it's time to have it have more focus on Open BIM, and maybe be a little bit more precise on what does it mean to do BIM itself. But when it comes to generally to regulation and laws, they should be as little as possible and as much as needed.
Yes. And Anna-Riitta, what is your consideration about these 10 years of celebration of this directive?
Well, I think that it's good that we recognize these opportunities of Open BIM, and we have a path already that we can add this more detailed requirements or something, and we will get better processes and better European level processes also. And I think that it's good, and we should do more collaboration between EU countries and learn each others and try to get better, not only ourselves and our country, but also the EU countries.
Well, trying to be better is something of the nicest goals that we can have, no? So, well, thank you very much. I have a lot of questions written here in 2 pages, but it's amazing how interesting can be a conversation with 2 people like you. It has been the first time that we have made a session with you guys and making an approach of something so simple or as simple as this 10 years celebration or anniversary of that, no? So thank you very much. Thank you, Jan, for this. We can see in the chat for this information about the position paper, and for us it's really interesting because, as I told you, is something that we are trying to push as much as possible here in Spain, no? Probably Mediterranean countries are making things in a different way. Confidence, responsibility, multi-criteria, etc., are understood in different ways. But for sure, we understand that Open BIM, IFC, and IDS, and these processes that come from your Nordic countries and Baltic countries like Alliance and IPD, etc., is something that we have to learn very, very deeply in our processes, no? So thank you very much. I do not know if you want to make a last sentence for that, Anna-Riitta and
I
Jaan.
would like to say thank you, and I'm looking forward to collaboration, and I'm hoping to see many of you who are watching this in the Barcelona event, this digital building permit event that we are having in April, and I will be there, and we can discuss more about Finnish concept and perhaps Estonian concept also. And thank you, and have a nice spring.
Yeah, likewise. I also I will be there in Barcelona on April what was it, 14th, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 18 and 19.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, 18 and 19.
Yeah.
Really,
Yes, because on 17th we have the Building Digital Twin International Congress in one day,
Yeah.
and we thought that it would be good to join both events. So we have 3 days with Building Digital Twin International Congress, that will be the 3rd edition, and the 1st edition of the digital building permits by the EU Net for Digital Building Permits European
Yes.
Group. No?
So that's the place to be if you want to know more about.
And we will be there whole week because we have a EU project ACCOD meetings there also. So that's why it's for us it's the whole week in Barcelona. So
the
nice.
whole week.
Yeah.
Well, you are welcome. So
Yeah.
I hope
Thank
to welcome you in my city, and I hope it will be for sure a very, very productive days. So thank you very much, Anna-Riitta Kallinen from Finland, from for explaining all of this work that you are making from Arcon, and something so interesting. And Jaan Saar from Estonia, and thank you very much for sharing this hour with us. And I hope to meet in 2 months here in Barcelona.